today. BLTHFC says, you cannot convince me that fighting for consistency in order to achieve these results and performances on a weekly basis isn't worth it. We may fail, it may be for nothing, but what do we have to lose now? It's a fair point, I guess.
Yeah, that's the point I made. I think you're better off just seeing if he can do it rather than just chucking it all away now. Chuck it away mid-season. We're not gonna. I know other teams, Chelsea have sat their managers pre-season and won trophies and stuff like that, but we just don't do that. Like, we're just better off riding through the storm.
Conte came in and got us top 4 from a similar position.
Yes, but Nuno was, in terms of performance-wise, results-wise, it wasn't even that dissimilar, but performance-wise, it was just nothing. There was just nothing there. I guess you could say in the last 6 games there's something similar, but but the thing is, like, we're not going to get a Conte-like manager who's going to improve things straight away like he can. We're going to get another manager who probably wants projects and years and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Yeah, I just think at the moment this club is just between a rock and a hard place at the moment.
That's why I think we're better off sticking with him.
Yeah, I think sticking with him and sacking with him are both the wrong options. That's the reality.
Just fold the club. Fold the club, man. Just, I think we'll start a new club.
Name Cannot Be Blank says, I'm Ange in. I've always said this season is one I'll judge him on. All our losses are by a single goal. Multiple injuries. Failed to back Ange in the market with a centre-back again. Also left-back and outright 6 and right winger. But I think fan pressure will push Levy to sacking him.
That's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm saying. The fans need to... I'm not saying they're not right to criticise Ange, but always at these points...
Fans are 67% Ange in.
Yeah, our fans are. Big up to everyone in the chat. But the fans at the stadiums, especially the away fans, seem to be baying for blood at the moment. And is that when it's really going to start pushing Levy over the edge? You know when he'll really be convinced to sack him. You know when it is.
When?
You know.
What?
When they start chanting Levy out.
They did last night.
Yeah, but when it was the home ground, when it was remember that United game where literally the whole ground was chanting it. That was the moment he was like, okay, I need to do something. So once the ire starts turning towards Levy and turns away from the manager, then that's when he's like, okay.
If we put in an abject performance against Chelsea, it's going to happen.
Well, I'm just saying the fans, instead of demanding we sack the manager, maybe we should go in a different direction.
What are you saying? Get the banners back out.
If you had me, each
is that
their
what
own.
You're saying?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying we shouldn't start, getting Ange out trending all the time and starting begging for blood. Maybe we should just ride out the storm with this manager.
If you were to ask me, like, who's the main problem at this football club, I'm not going to say no way Ange Postecoglou. I think Ange could probably do a job if he was given, if he had a better chairman here. I mean, I've always thought Daniel Levy's the biggest problem at this football club, and I'll continue to think Daniel Levy's the biggest problem at this football club. Nothing can change my mind.
That's fair enough. No, I don't disagree.
So Spurs Army says stick with Ange. Arsenal stuck with Arteta. Their results were poor at the start. Their recruitment.
No, you missed one, I think.
Oh, did I? Oh, Simon says, I'll tell you why Postecoglou was given a free ride by so many. The Spurs fans that hated Jose and Conte so much for telling the truth are so desperate to prove them wrong that they've launched onto Ange Postecoglou because he's the polar opposite. It kills them to admit Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte were right. And those two managers were 100% right. 100% right. And if Postecoglou does get sacked, as much as I've been negative towards Ange, he's just going to be another victim of Daniel Levy.
It's like that. What's that meme where death comes at the door with the big knife and he's just, who's next?
Yeah,
it's been
exactly.
That's
every manager at this football club.
The reason why I've said I don't really mind in terms of the direction we're going since Ange has come in. The reason why I've been consistent on that is because. But I also think Mourinho and Conte were right, and I don't think it's a position that contradicts itself. It's because I think, like, under Mourinho and Conte, we were just trying to be pretending to be a club that we're just not, right? We're not, like, fully committed to being, which is this big club, big manager, big signings, all this kind of stuff. We were never really fully invested into doing that. When we pretended to do it, we gave this kind of veneer that we were going to be this big club, and look, we're going to grow big for trophies, and we're going to be challenging for leagues, and we got this big manager, but we never had the investment, the backing to back that up, and we were never going to do it under this ownership. When that's never the direction this club's ever going to go in. And now under Ange, it's a bit different. We're we're not pretending to be this big club at the moment. We're accepting of where we are, of how we're trying to do things, which is we're trying to be, in terms of our investments, we're trying to be a bit smarter. We're not going to pretend we're going to spend big money and back these big managers to be in big what's called title challenges. Like, we're not pretending to be a club like City or Chelsea like we were under Conte and Mourinho. We're going a different direction, and as long as we're consistent in that direction, I'm not saying like I'm not saying I'm like happy with it, or I'm saying like that is something that's definitely going to win us trophies. But I'm more content with us like being honest about where we are, if you know what I mean. I'm more content with us saying, look, this is, we're going to be younger. It's going to be a bit more of a project. It's going to be attacking football. It's going to be football you like, and we're going to build something rather than pretending to be this big club and pretending to be like something that we're not. And that's why I've been considering saying, if that's what we're going to do and we're consistent with it, then I can that's something I can live with at least. But under Mourinho and Conte, I couldn't live with that. That's the only point I've been making.
Well, I can't live with either of them, to be honest. Like with the revenues that this club is making, with the stadium that we got, it just doesn't match up with the club that we're trying to be and the club that we say we are.
I agree with you, but I've given up hoping that we're going to invest all the revenues that we make into the team, because it's not going to happen. We're going to invest. Look, it's not like we invested nothing, but we're not going to be the top spending team in the league, and we're never going to do that. We're never going to be spending £100 million on a player. And I've accepted that, and once I've accepted that, and this is the direction we're going to go in, I'm more happy to live with that and be honest with it, rather than the board pretending like, oh, this stadium's going to lead to more money and it's going to lead to big money signings.
They're still saying that.
Yeah, but in terms of what they're trying to do with the young players and build a project,
Daniel Levy says every penny that gets generated by this football club goes back in. That's what he says.
Apart from his dividends.
Yeah, apart from his dividends and apart from on player wages as well. That's what he says. Like, you're talking about we're not pretending to be something. Well, Daniel Levy is clearly lying straight to your face, and some fans are okay with that. So, Spurs Army says stick with Ange. Arsenal stuck with Mikel Arteta. Their results were poor at the start. Their recruitment was mixed at the start. Lokonga, Tavares, and others. Back the manager. If you sack him now, you're back to square one. We know what we have until we won't. We know what we have until it's gone. I think that's a fair point. But just on your point in terms of that, I don't think he's lying about that. The big problem that people have isn't that we're not spending the money the club is making. The big problem is he's not investing any money. ENIC aren't investing extra like the other clubs do. They invest money into their team. Well, the problem people have is we only stick to the money that the club are making. I don't know if we do, though. I mean, I don't know how much revenue this club is making, but I mean, you look at just the wage bill says that we're like 6th or 7th in terms of wages, in terms of how much we spend. Like, we generate so much more money than any other club in this league, pretty much, in terms of the stadium and the events and all this kind of stuff. And
yeah, but we made a loss.
We're nowhere close to them.
We made a loss last year.
A loss on what?
The revenue we made.
I don't know. I haven't seen the.
That was the accounts. We had a loss.
How?
I don't know, but I'm not the Tottenham accountant.
Lowest wage to profit ratio in the league.
Yeah, we is. That's what I'm saying, though. A lot of teams make big losses. We don't want to do that, right? The problem isn't that we don't spend the money that the club is making. We do. But the problem is the only thing we spend is what the club is making. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's true, because like that they showed a graph, didn't they, about chairmans that have invested money
and we're the lowest because it's 0 or something.
And there was like 3 clubs below us, and the 3 clubs that were below us, like the oldest owner was like 2017 or something.
Right. before. But what do you mean the oldest owner?
As in, Daniel Levy's been here since 2001.
Yeah, 21. Yeah, 2001.
And the ones below us were all like taken over in 2017 or after, or
Right.
something.
Yeah. And yeah, our owners don't have big investment in terms of their own money. They don't invest their own money into the club. They only invest the money that the club makes.
And the reality is, yeah, Levy in, Levy out, right? And if a new owner comes in, who's to say that they're not going to do exactly the same? This club makes so much money. Like, it's so easy for someone to come by the club and just juice up all the revenues.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's so I just can't see a way out of this. That's the reality. As much as I hate Daniel Levy and I hate what he's doing at the moment, and the wrong decisions after wrong decisions, you look at some of the owners that have been linked to us, like that guy last week, and like the F1 guy. You know, they're notoriously bad and more or less the same.
To be honest, it's very similar complaints that like Liverpool fans had with FSG and Arsenal fans had with Kroenke, and they seem to be competing. Like Kroenke was on that when I looked on that list. He was also quite low down for investment of himself, of how much they invested.
Kroenke have only recently started to invest their own money. They actually gave the club a really big loan before the Rice deal and before but just before they started challenging, and they started heavily investing. So
that's why we want minority investment, which we don't have.
Yeah, is the minority investment to invest in a team, or is it to build a women's football stadium?
You have to ask the club that.
Yeah, exactly, because what I've heard is that Spurs want to build a women's football stadium.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they do, but which is good for the women's game.
Great for the women's game. Let's move on. Next one is Mari saying, it seems that Sonny was angry because some players didn't want to go to the fans and thank them for going to the stadium. I think that's the least they can do, right? Of course it's the least they can do.
Big up Sonny for calling out some of these players and trying to get them over, but obviously they didn't do too well for Ange when he went over, but you know, Sonny always thinks of the fans.
But you know what, yeah, no matter if you're going to take flack or not, you always got to go over, because if you're going to get flack, you probably deserve it.
I hate, though, I mean, I don't know if maybe we'll go into it when it comes to Ange. I don't know if the video's here. I think it is, but I understand the performance was bad, but like just shouting like crass abuse, like I hate that. Like, I understand you're frustrated, but you can't deny Ange is trying his best to like try and get this club moving in the right direction and try and bring attacking football, calling him the fat C word and all these different things. Like, what's that going to do except to just cause toxicity and cause a bad feeling between the fans and the players? It's only going to cause bad negativity.
Yeah.
And look, you can boo and stuff like that, whatever. I don't like that either, but that's fine. But showing these obscenities, of course, Andrew's a human being himself. Obviously, he's not going to react well to that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not on. It's not on. TBG says, Ange has shown me enough to prove that he can be an elite coach. A squad with holes everywhere had Bergvall and Odeberg as marquee signings. Ask yourself how many Spurs players will get into other top 6 squads. Then ask yourself who's to blame.
Yeah, I mean, with holes everywhere had Bergvall as marquee. I mean, I wouldn't say Bergvall and Odeberg were the marquee signings, but they were definitely... I would say more probably Gray and Solanke were our marquee signings, but that's probably not enough. But how many of the Spurs players get into the top 6 squads? Squads or 11? Because those are two different questions.
Well, if you talk about 11s, still, I don't think many do.
I think the question is, how many of our players could play for a top 6 team?
Well, it depends. Well, that's the same thing as getting into an 11, isn't it? Because they already have those players there.
Yeah, but when you look at like someone like Chelsea, their depth is so good. Like the gap between the first team and like the second team, especially up front anyway, is small. So like, for example, I don't know, right wing is like Madueke and I don't know who else is right wing. Madueke and who was it? Sancho. Or Neto.
Their wingers on. I think they can all play on either side, to be honest. But they've got like Felix, Neto, Sancho, Madueke,
So
Mudryk.
so when you compare our players, is the question, would those players start for Chelsea, or is the question, could our players be one of those two options on in that Chelsea squad, who could be in a rotation there, because it's so tight. And like, could Son be a left winger for Chelsea? Probably. Could Solanke be a striker for Chelsea? Probably. Could Decky be in Chelsea's team as a rotation for Palmer? Probably.
Yeah.
Like, they could be in the squad, but in the best 11. I mean, at the moment, it's hard to say any of them because Chelsea are playing so well, we're playing bad. But our best, you could argue Van de Ven and Romero and Porro and Udogie all get in there, but and Vicario. But
yeah, I guess the difference is though as well. Like, yeah, there are a few players that can probably get in. But the difference is that where they see the frailties in the squad, the goalkeeper, the defensive, the centre backs and stuff like that, they'll go out there and they'll sign top players to come in. We're going to sign 18-year-olds.
Yeah, they spent £2 billion or whatever it is, or £1 billion since he's come in. We're just never going to do that.
No, we're not. So we're never going to challenge at the top.
I mean, again, I don't think you have to spend $1 billion.
I mean, everyone that is fighting at the top spends big money.
We spent big money.
But
Not
a lot
this summer,
bigger
but-
than us, though.
I mean, net spend over the last, 5 years, we're right up there, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. But then we still have the 6th or 7th highest wage bill in the league.
Yeah, because we reduced it a lot last summer. But doesn't mean that.
But it's
can't
also
increase.
because we're not spending big on wages.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, our wages. Only Son's on just under 200 grand.
Yeah.
Maddison's on big. Werner's on big.
We spend the same amount of wages as Aston Villa.
We spend the same amount of wages.
They're
as
in the
Aston Villa.
Championship. For
Yeah, but that's as of this season. I don't think that was the case last season. Because we've let go of Dyer, we've let go of Lloris, we've let go of a lot of players on big wages.
Yeah, I'm saying this season
Kane was there. But I'm just saying, yeah, and it's reduced, and it needed to reduce just because of the average age of the squad. But it doesn't mean that can't increase.
It needed to
potentially.
be reduced because the players that were on high wages needed to go.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be reduced in terms of the players that we replaced them with. We needed to replace them with good players. And we've replaced them with fairly good players, but not players that are going to catapult us up to where we really want to be.
All right.
Which one is next? Can't remember where we were.
Kieran, is it?
Kieran. Oh, this is a long one. I really struggle to see the blame always being put on the manager. Each of our last 5 managers had a similar cycle. All were class managers at other clubs. So is it every single manager's fault that we lack the depth to compete or can't spend the money that other clubs can to compete for a title? Pointing the finger at the manager at every bad patch of form is literally insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So many unaddressed areas in the window once again are biting us in the ass. All can be backtracked to one man, and it's not the manager, it's Levy. The only substantial change that needs to happen isn't another manager, because in a year's time we'll be having the same exact conversation. No growth happens with changing the manager like a pair of clothes. So stop being daft and always point the finger there. Ange is not clear from blame, but sacking him will only set us backwards. Nothing good happens when you rotate through managers. Trust the project.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, I do agree with that, to be fair.
I think he's right, and that's why I'm saying we'll just stick with him. Like, as much as he has to take a lot of blame, I just think that he's our best bet at the moment.
Well, when you do think about a manager that can come in, it's slim picking at the moment, unless you like throw the book at Andoni. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Is it necessarily going to massively improve? I mean, he's great. Don't get me wrong, good manager, but he's also got a very intense style of play. His teams are very much focused on pressing and intensity and stuff like that. And quite frankly, that's probably the one thing that's right now causing us to struggle with inconsistency. So, like, if we bring him in, are things going to massively change? I don't know. Not in the short term, anyway.
I still think the way Bournemouth play, I still think like they still have a defensive structure where I don't really think we have one against particular teams.
I mean, last week's game we haven't, but I think in general this season, I think we've actually not conceded too many too many shots. As the last 6 games, clearly there's been a massive increase, as I've said in the stats. It shows that, but Iraola's done a great job his last 2 jobs, but he's not guaranteed any improvement for sure. He's not going to necessarily get Iraola in and will be challenging again. I don't think that's true necessarily, not in the short term anyway. I think again you're probably going to need to give him these 6 months and then another thing and more players
I guess as well. Like, you never know what's around the corner, because look at Chelsea, for example. You know, everyone was laughing at Chelsea. They got 45 million players and all this kind of stuff. And Pochettino came in and everyone thought, you know, he was going to do the business. He gets sacked and everyone's like, oh, they're going nowhere, this club, Chelsea. And then they brought in Maresca. Nobody thought he was going to do a good job. And they're fighting at the top at the moment. Yeah,
but they have a similar amount of points that we did last season, the same stage.
Yeah. But we're not at last season, we're at this season. And last season, the first 10 games, we've all kind of accepted was a new manager bounce.
So why can't this be a new manager bounce for Chelsea?
Well, it's succeeded 10 games now.
Yeah, by 4 games.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like they're slowing down.
Yeah, but look, I'm not saying they'll drop down. Look, maybe they didn't have that one game where they had 10 injuries that we did, and it completely killed our season at that point. But I'm not saying they're going to drop down. I'm just saying it's interesting perspectives, because as I say, they've got 27 points, or they're on 28 points after 14 games. After 14 games, we were on 27 last season, so we were in very similar situations. So, like, let's see how he keeps going. He's doing well at the moment. Doesn't mean they're destined for a title challenge for the rest of the season necessarily.
Yeah. I don't think they will be in a title challenge this season, Chelsea, but I do think, like, you look at the squad that they have there and the owner's willingness to back projects and to spend money to get the club to where it wants to be. You know, we're just not that. We're just not that. So however many managers we bring in, we're just going to be top 4 at best. That's the reality for this football club, where you look at other clubs, they actually want to back a project and actually want success at a football club. I think we look at revenues as success.
Yeah, that's true.
So I guess Daniel Levy will be very happy with the way the club's going in terms of revenues, because we got loads of revenues, and as soon as he thinks top 4 is going to be out of reach and that lucrative Champions League money won't be coming to this football club, that's when he's going to sack the manager. Return of the Shelf said, this was only 11 days ago. I'm with Ange for better or worse until the end. When it's good, it's breathtaking. When it's bad, it's poor. He needs the tools. He needs a squad capable of competing on 4 fronts. The board must back him.
Oh, Nathan, do you see the Nathan Clark one? Do you read that one out?
No, I'll go to that next. Just react to this one first, I guess.
Yeah. Well, look, we definitely need more players. That's for sure. I think I agree with that. At the moment, we're running on empty, and we've got severe. The holes are being very much exposed in the squad, very much so. The injuries we've got are in the worst areas a lot of the time, and right now, it's hard to see how we get out of it, because we've got a lot of games and not a lot of ways to change it. So that's the worry. The problem is, can he last this run? That's the question. I do think if given time, he'll turn it around and we can start winning games again. But in the short term, it's difficult.
It's just a question of if the players are still backing it. That's the question.
Players as well. That's a question. I'm not in the dressing room. I don't know.
And also, like, if this period is going to be as hard as you say it is, if they are backing it now, will they be backing it at the end of this period?
All different questions.
Many questions, yeah. Nathan Clark says, I haven't lost faith in this project personally, but I'm losing the energy to try and fight the case and persuade others. Is that where you're at, Sim?
Pretty much.
You still fighting the good fight of trying to persuade me, though?
Try. I just don't want the fans to. I mean, look, fans will do what they want, but I'm just sick of begging for blood for managers. Like, instead of like just expecting, oh, he's going to be gone. He's gone now. This is it. Oh, we'll lose one more game. That'll be his last game, and thinking he's on his last legs. Let's maybe just try and push through this poor form and try and go things in a different direction to how we've done previously, where as soon as it looks like he's done, we're all ready for him to be sacked. Like, let's just not do that.
Yeah.
But fans will do what they want.
StatMuse FC, Tottenham are the first team to not score a goal, not register a big chance, and lose the game. despite having at least 65% possession in the Premier League in a game in 2024.
Yeah, and I think Jory brought up a good point.
Yeah, he did actually.
Yesterday, in terms of possession, the more possession we have, it's harder. Because I think naturally it makes sense. First of all, the players we have in the squad, a lot of them, especially people like Johnson, Son, stuff like that, they're very much more geared to a transitional game. That's very much their strength. And the less possession we have, the more chance we've got to exploit spaces. And that's why maybe we do look better in those periods.
Just the funny thing is, the funny thing is that this team right now that we have is the team that we should have given Conte.
Yeah, maybe he would have done better with it.
Because it is very good on the transition. 3, fairly good centre-backs as well at the club. Like when we had Conte, who was our 3 centre-backs?
Imagine that summer, we got top 4, and we give him Van der Ven, we give him Doggy, we give him Porro, we give him, maybe not so would had Kane already.
I think Antonio Conte, with this team that we have right now, could do very, very well.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Instead, we gave him Longley, Emerson, and Sessegnon.
Long gap.
And Sanchez at the back, Dyer. That's what we gave him. And that's why he went crazy.
This club! Tottenham Joe says, Doggy.
Yeah, oh God.
Is that KSI?
That's KSI. Oh, dearie me. Doggy yesterday.
Cody Mack, no, I'm not Ange out, but I definitely need to see progress soon. We just appear to be getting worse and worse, regardless of who's available. The tactics are questionable, the workload's intense, and the players look broken tonight. Not looking good at all.
Yeah, I think it's more... I think at the moment what we're seeing is bad, but it's more the fear of the future that's just giving everyone anxiety at the moment with what's to come.
Yeah. Nothing would please me more than Spurs to go on a winning run, Ange to save his job, and Spurs to have a great season this year. But just all I'm saying is I just can't see that happening.
Yeah, and I get that. But always with Spurs, it's always darkest before the dawn.
It's actually very true when you expect it the least. When you least expect it.
They don't. If you have a bit of hope, they'll never give you anything. As soon as you're down in the dumps, and that's where I'm at right now. You have to lose hope before Tottenham turn it around.
And I have lost hope, so now we're going to smash Chelsea on the weekend.
Only when you've lost all hope, that's when they turn it around.
Counter pressers. Tottenham don't deserve Ange Postecoglou. He has shown me enough to believe he can be an elite coach. His unwavering persistence at times is over the top, but he is grounded in his ideas. He is a winner. Tottenham are not winners. Spurs are out of their depth, not Ange. And this isn't a quote retweet to obviously Ange having a fan popping at Ange, a few fans popping at Ange, and Ange popping back a little bit. First of all, on that video, I think it's a disgrace from those fans to treat anyone wearing our badge like that. Like, as much as we can criticize, criticism is fine, but once it starts to become abuse, it's completely over the line.
At least I know. At least with like Ange, he's really trying to. He's had a lot on his plate. Let's be honest. I know he needs to be doing better. I've criticised him. I think this squad should be finishing higher than 10th. But he's trying to win, trying to do things with a daring approach, with an attacking approach, trying to build something at this club. And to treat him in that way, whether you think he's doing a good job or not, like. At least, I think he cares about the club. I think he wants to do what's best for the club. And I think, maybe if it was like Conte or something who literally treated us like he was doing us a favour being manager here, like, I would understand more vitriol for him. But, like, to be calling him, all these obscenities and shouting at him, and he's coming over to clap the fans and you're going crazy at him as if he's the big problem, or like as if like he's doing it on purpose or something. I don't know. I just don't like it at all. Like, we need to be supporting him. We need to be backing him to turn it around. And it's like we're ready to give up already. We're ready to get him sacked. We're ready to move on.
We've seen a lot of it actually over the past week. We saw the West Ham fans and Lopetegui. They're singing. West Ham fans are singing "Sacked in the Morning" to their own manager. We've seen a lot with Gary O'Neill at Wolves as well. The Wolves fans were really, hurling dogs abuse at Gary O'Neill, and also singing "Sacked in the Morning." So a lot of fans turning at the moment on their management, and we're only 5 points above West Ham. which is mad to think about with how poor West Ham have actually been this season. How many batterings have they taken?
A lot.
You know, they got battered by us, they got battered by Arsenal. I think a few more in there as well. And to only be 5 points above them, that's madness. But look, yeah, the abuse is completely over the line. No one should be abusing anyone that has that badge. Well, anyone in general, but particularly a Spurs player or a Spurs manager. It's just not on. But to say that Tottenham don't deserve Ange Postecoglou, I also think it's a bit over the top.
That's a bit over the top. I like Ange, but no one's bigger than the club.
Yeah. Yido Gus says, there isn't a manager in the world that can fix us. Nothing will change unless the mentality at the top is completely overhauled. There's a good chance we go into Sunday derby with Dragoshin and Gray as our centre-back pairing. That's gross negligence. It's blatantly obvious. Yeah, I do agree with the sentiment. I mean,
but then again, how do you legislate for 3 injured centre-backs?
Yeah, I was about to say, like, our 2 top centre-backs and now our backup centre-back are all out injured. This next one says, fair play to the perpetually positive in our fan base. I have no idea how you convince yourselves year after year that this project will be the one. I've never said Ange out or any manager because it doesn't matter. I know the problem at our football club. You do too, if you're honest. Yep, can't disagree with that, to be honest.
Well, when it's been
I think he's talking to you.
When it's been look, I'm not sitting here saying Ange is the one that's going to bring us back to winning, to bring us to a stage that's winning titles or anything like that. But when it comes to, or even that this project is definitely going to work, but at least we have a project that we're building towards. And if you don't stick to it, then there's no point even starting it. If you don't stick to it in the tough times, then what was the point in going for it in the first place?
Yeah, but then you don't know what's tough times and what's just completely dead and bad.
Correct. It's true. Yeah, you don't know. But you might. But we've given up on things before, and then it seems to get worse, and then we go. We spend more years in the wilderness. You might as well just stick with it and hope that you can turn it around until it's completely untenable. I don't think we're there yet, but
we're not far off.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, 2 weeks ago again, we're all singing his praises and we're all fully on board with it, and then now 2 weeks later, and now he's not far off the sack. Like,
we were jubilant after a massive win, yes, but I still think the cracks and the signs were there.
Yeah,
not in that performance alone, but in terms of the form.
I'm just saying, like, you can't have him sacked 2 weeks after, like, everyone's saying he should be in, he's doing a good job and we should be buying into it, and then 2 weeks later he should be sacked. Like, I think it's just so reactionary. But I can't deny that the results in the last year have not been good enough. That's the reality. Yeah. And a year's a long time. Yeah.
Jacko Cat says, still not Ange out. The players aren't good enough to play any system consistently well. We'll be in this position again very soon. Bunch of mediocre players, the majority of it at least.
I don't think the majority of mediocre, but there's probably quite a few mediocre players in the squad. But I don't know, we've definitely got enough quality to be doing better than 10th. I just do believe that. But it's what there was saying there aren't good enough players to play any system consistently well. We'll be in that position again very soon. I don't know if I believe that.
James Dickinson, big up Dicko. He says, so it was Poch's fault, Jose's fault, Nuno's fault, Conte's fault, Mason's fault, Stellini's fault. Now we're supposed to believe it's Ange's fault as well. The club have you lot on strings.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree with that.
Squawker saying Tottenham away from home in the Premier League this season. Drawn against Leicester, lost against Newcastle, beat Man United, lost against Brighton, lost against Palace, beat Man City, now lost against Bournemouth.
Yeah, I mean, the away
we only win in. Can't we not play in Manchester every week?
Yeah, let's just can we put a petition out to move every game to Manchester? That'll be all right. It'll be all right if we do that.
Zeus1882 says, could have spent the night getting kicked in the nuts and that would have been more enjoyable than watching Tottenham.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, especially the last bit of the game.
Return of the Shelf says, wow, he's not blameless, but He's really not been set up for success, and this does not help. Surely as fans, we can't go through it all again. Another manager, another rebuild. I know I can't. And yeah, I mean, I've been saying that consistently before the game yesterday, and I don't think I've gone as far to say Ange out, but I mean, I've just got no faith in the project, and I don't know if I'll have faith in any project. That's the reality.
So you might as well just stick with this one.
Yeah. I'm just so like numb to it all, like Ange in, Ange out. I don't give a fuck anymore. Like, if we stick with him, we ain't gonna achieve what we want to achieve. If we sack him, we ain't gonna be able to achieve what we want to achieve. So it is what it is. BLTHFC says, yes, the injuries are very bad, but we're failing to do the basics on the pitch. Horrible passing, horrible in the dues, lack of quality, body language disgraceful, awful watch. We're bang in trouble heading into Christmas now.
That's definitely true. We are definitely bang in trouble. I agree with that.
Spurs Connect says, it's coming, people. Mason in.
Come on. It's Mason's time. Do you reckon he's getting ready?
Yeah.
He's getting the kit on.
Definitely getting ready.
He's getting ready.
And Hotspur Connor is just going through some of Spurs' tweets.
This is all our half-time losing at the break tweets.
Behind at the break, behind at the break, behind at the break, behind at the break.
So many.
Yeah, but that's it, people. That is how the internet did react